Welcome one and all, I'm Ottendo. Before we begin, I'd like to apologize for the lack of content on the YouTube channel recently. I've just been busy with work and I'm trying to hone more of my skills as a game artist. So in saying that, the videos may take more time than usual, but I promise I will give it my all. Anyways, now that's been covered, for today's video I'll be talking about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Okay, let's get this one out of the way. I'll cover the positives first. Firstly, the story, which I heard a lot of people from the fanbase say it's one of the best Pokemon stories in the mainline games. But really, I say it's decent. It's nowhere near the quality of Legend Arceus' all black and white story, but it is better than Sword and Shield story, and it does have a decent plot to it. The gameplay is good, Scarlet and Violet are fun games. The character designs are good, the Paradox Pokemon are pretty cool. Some of them, let's not say all of them. And the music is decent, I guess. The only bangers in the game are Professor Turo and Sada and Penny's battle themes, but other than that, not too shabby. But that's all I can say positively about this game. Now, before I get into the negatives, I want to point out that please do not harass the developers or company. I disavow anyone that does. I'm only criticizing this game and my gripes with current day Pokemon. Now, I'm a big fan of Pokemon. I even consider myself a Pokemon veteran. I started all the way back to the DS days of 2006 and have kept supporting the games ever since. This Pokemon game, however, was genuinely the first time in my 20 plus years of Pokemon that it made me mad. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl made me upset also, but nowhere near as much as this game did. Prepare yourselves for some utter assault. Let's start with the most obvious elephant in the room, the performance issues. The game is riddled with bugs, so much so that I could see them crawling through my Switch and my game cartridge. It took me out of the immersion. I'm not here saying that this is a new problem that arose. Pokemon never had perfect releases in its history. But in this instance, this is inexcusable. You got Pokemon spawning out of nowhere, a photo mode that is a pretty sweet idea, but the execution ended up being janky, with your trainer looking like the Giga Swap mod from Tekken 7 when you ride the box art Pokemon. When there are YouTubers out there documenting and archiving all of the glitches. Mind you, there are 8 parts. 8 parts! You know you messed up. What is this, Bethesda? Not to mention people's save data is being wiped out. Pokemon that people have been grinding for years, no, a decade to get. Shining hunting and all, suddenly all gone. Whew. All because Game Freak and Pokemon Company gonna be Game Freak and Pokemon Company and not support cloud save. But Otto, the patches that came out fixed the problem. Yeah, there's still some problems that are not fixed yet. But even still, just because they added patches in and fixed some things, doesn't mean that we should just forget what they did on launch. This does not excuse Game Freak and the Pokemon Company for releasing it in the state to begin with. Not even play testing it. I hate it when game companies do this. Play test your games before you release them. Keep in mind, folks, that this is a multi-billion-dollar company. A $92 billion company that earns more than Disney, Star Wars, Hello Kitty, you name it. They could have used all their money and resources into giving us the product we rightfully deserve, but no. They would rather focus on putting a Pokemon game under the Christmas tree every year and become the COD of Nintendo.
Sure, we can put money into testing our game to make sure it's optimized before it ships, but let's use it to get a popular pop singer instead.
Let's just move on. Let's talk about the apparent and ever so noticeable lack of voice acting. I hated it when it wasn't in Sword and Shield. I hated it when it wasn't in Legends Arceus, and the same applies to this game too. Why is it so hard for them to hire voice actors? They have the money. The cutscenes needed voice acting because without them, it just looks like they're flailing their arms about with wind noises, making goofy faces like they have durants in their pants. It's awkward. Heck, the trailer for Iono before its release had voice acting, for goodness sake.
And out of every single person gathered here, I'm the most excited by a mile!
This is 2023. We should be past this already. We should have been past this years ago. So why did they not do the same thing for the full game? Then you have the actual region itself, Paldea. Compared to the other regions, I find the Paldea region bland. Nothing about it even astounds me. The bugs and the horrible low quality textures for the buildings, plants, and those sandwiches too are probably the only things I remember this region for. Say what you want about the Galar region in Sword and Shield's low texture environments, but at least that game had some gorgeous locations. But Otto, all these things were because of the Switch's limitations. They can't do all that with what they have. Excuses. Oh really? You're telling me that the Nintendo Switch is at fault and not Pokemon Company and Game Freak's apparent incompetence? Why not take a look at how The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is doing? Oh, it's a really gorgeous game. Not many bugs despite the limitations of the system. One more? Okay, how about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 made by Monolith Soft, which is also, like the previous example, open world, but it has tons of things, stuff that you would think would be taxing for the console, but Monolith, the geniuses that they are, managed to make it work. I don't even have to look at the other titles, I could just look at the Pokemon franchise. The previous Pokemon game, Legends Arceus, which came out not too long ago, not only took the original format of Pokemon, but it also reinvigorated it and took the franchise to a whole new level. The bugs themselves were very minor, nothing too serious. It had a really good story, I might even argue it's the best mainline story since Black and White 2. The gameplay was awesome, the music was incredible, and the bosses were a new and welcoming addition that I wish would come back. You could do the tuck and roll for goodness sake. Where were these mechanics in Scarlet and Violet? Where were they? Nowhere in sight. And even the stuff they did bring out of Legends Arceus weren't the same as when they were made. The Pokemon in the previous game felt like actual animals that reacted to your every move. They would pursue you, and when you were hiding, they would smell and sense where you were. And here? Nah, we'll dumb them down and have them crowd around you so every time you move, they'll jump in front of you and engage in battle. When you look at the 3DS, a system that is significantly weaker than the Switch, their main Pokemon titles had fewer bugs and kept the core components of a Pokemon game, i.e. the national decks. Yes, all 800 were in one of the games, and not locked behind a DLC paywall. So no, they couldn't do all the things they can because of the Switch's massive cap. I even noticed that they are even running out of Pokemon to make because I noticed that they're a lot more old than new ones, which I don't mind, and I have no problem with some of the new ones either. Some of them are fine, but some of them are just one of the most uncreative pieces of garbage I have seen yet. Examples being an average Flamingo, the 1000th Pokemon. Oh, you want to know what the Pokemon to mark 1000 is? Do you want to see it? Well, here you go. It's the Stringy's cheese mascot. If there's one thing this game has taught me, is that we still have a long way to go till we get the Pokemon game of our dreams. Game Freak and the Pokemon Company are not what they once were. They have become a different being entirely. Until the Pokemon fanbase starts being more critical towards the Pokemon Company and stops consuming the products because it has the word Pokemon on it, the better. If not, that company will just keep pumping out these poorly optimized games constantly, and they'll just get worse and worse and worse, and they won't care because it's Pokemon. Gotta catch 'em all, right? Guess when you're locked on national decks behind a DLC paywall, I suppose. As a Pokemon fan, I hate how the franchise is headed. It's regressing, not progressing. The Pokemon Company is even considering making NFTs. NFTs! Are you nuts? I honestly thought that with Legends Arceus, Game Freak and the Pokemon Company finally understood what we wanted all along. But no, they don't. They did a 5 steps forward and 1 giant leap into a canyon with no parachute. Repeating history. The only good thing coming out of Pokemon at the moment is the trading card game, merchandise, the spin-offs, and the anime manga. Apart from the positives, the negatives far outweigh them. I give this game a 4 out of 10. I am very disappointed in Pokemon Company and Game Freak. Very disappointed. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked the video, well, you know what to do. I'll see you in the next one. This is Ottendo signing out.